All right, gonna try going live outside. Come here, Spry. I've got Spry here. Sit, sit. And again, I'm outside, so I don't know. I've struggled to get reception. And anyone who's watched some of the old ones knows that. But we're gonna try it anyway. I'm gonna show you. So we're still gonna do hold conditioning. Now, I do see someone gave a thumb, and I see someone came on. I'm still not seeing questions, but no, I'm trying to figure out how I can. I see April Marie joined in and Chris joined in. I'm still trying to figure out how to get it to show up if someone asks a question, because we've had comments or makes a comment or whatever. It does pop up that some people are joining in, but I need to get. Oh, I can see it. Wow, I haven't caught a live. So my IT person must have been on it. I don't have an IT person, but it is coming up now, so that's good. So I've got Spry. I actually will be able to answer some questions on this one. It looks like we are live, and it doesn't look like we have a bad whatever you call it. I'm trying to reverse this. Okay, I've got Ellie over here. If you can see Ellie, she's watching. She's gonna be part of this. So I'll flip back around. Spry is here. I made a post on Instagram, and some more people are coming on. Jason's on. James is on. Welcome, Chris. Chris Smith joined in from the UP. Welcome, Chris. So we're gonna do I'm gonna show you some of the stuff that I'm doing with Spry outside of hold conditioning. I'm still doing hold conditioning with it. We're only into day 3. Clint joined in. How's Clint? Man, I wish I was coming to see you in a couple weeks, Clint. But we're gonna show the stuff we're doing besides hold conditioning. Just because we're doing hold doesn't mean everything else stops. And actually, I'm going to use our hold conditioning as an opportunity for me to tip the scales back on something that I've kind of took my foot off the gas with, and that was her steadiness. If you follow along with the old Live with Spries, you know she struggled with retrieving early. Struggled is putting it nicely. She was really bad at it. Mikey Cunningham's in. Clint Westy is in. Welcome, guys. Jason Arnold joined in. Welcome, guys. Do me a favor if you would. I always ask. I don't ask a lot, but it's great if you're willing to share these, because it allows for more people to have the opportunity to chime in. And I think the value in doing live is having people chime in. So if you would do me the favor, share away. So I took a picture of her on Instagram about 10 minutes ago, probably, maybe 15 minutes ago now. And she was sitting here. I'll show you exactly what it looked like. It looked like that. And I was getting ready, and I brought her out, and I put her on sit right here next to the tripod. And I made a post on Instagram, and I said, she doesn't know it, but the training's already started. Because I think a lot of times we get into, and I'm glad Chris Smith was in. I don't know if he's still in or not, but we had this conversation the other day. You saw Chris was down. We did some live bird stuff. We worked on steadiness with all of our dogs, and we had some feathers, some live pigeons, a little gunfire. So we got into some more things. But one of the things that Chris and I talked about was the importance of sometimes our training isn't necessarily doing stuff. And Wyatt's in. Welcome, Wyatt. I think we get excited about training. We're going to go work with our dogs. So we get into this routine where we get out, we get the bag, we get going, and the dog kind of flips a switch, gets very excited. They should. It's a conditioned response. I like that. I want that. No different than putting the tracking lead on. I think that helps switch my dog's mentality to start tracking. But the one thing I think that we have to be aware of is Chris has the dog Fee, who's Spry's sister, and Fee gets real excited. And I'm sure there's people watching right now, and I'm sure there's people that are going to watch this later that struggle with dogs that are a little bit excitable. And they want to know, how do you fix that? And I always tell people, slow down. I think you counter the dog's tendencies to find balance. So, hello, you know the Bears are playing around. You know me, Wyatt. I don't even have TV anymore. We're so Stone Age. We got rid of our cable, so I can't watch the Bears. I'm a Bears fan, so someone made a comment last night about the Packer game. I could care less about that game. I didn't watch. Well, I did watch a little bit of it, but at a restaurant. But anyway, I get sidetracked pretty easily as well here. So with the dogs and settling them down, I told Chris said he's worried about his dog getting bored. So that's why he continues to push stuff. And he continues to look for more things to do with Fee to keep her interested. And I told him that I think what he's doing is pouring like gas on a fire to try to put it out. You know that won't work. So when dogs get you think you're getting bored with them, so you're adding more stuff and continuing to make it exciting. I think what you're doing is you're just fueling that lack of steadiness and control, and you're getting them to be even more excited, because the more excited they get, the more stuff you throw at them. And the more excited they get, the more stuff you give them. So here's what I do. I just make them sit for a while. So we're going to train. We're going to come out here. And the first thing she had to do was, I took her for a little walk. I let her go to the bathroom. Then I brought her here and I made her sit. And for the last 15 minutes, her lesson started 15 minutes ago and we haven't even done anything. But what I've got is I've got a dog that's really relaxed. And it's kind of relaxed to me a little bit because I didn't have to come out and just get right into it. So I think sometimes it's slowing down is the way you counter some of these tendencies of dogs to get real excited. Now, what am I doing outside of hold conditioning? Steadiness is what I need to work on, because for a while there, she was extremely steady and I worked on a lot of that stuff, and watch all the old Spries, I talk about it all the time. But she wouldn't retrieve. Then she got to retrieving a little bit about 6 weeks ago, and I kind of backburnered a little bit my steadiness. I wasn't nearly as picky about it. She broke a few times to make retrieves, especially when I had her off lead. She broke. Oh my God, it's a cardinal sin. I'd have freaked out about it 4 months ago, but I let it go because she made the retrieves. So I'm looking to win with the retrieving part. So I kind of let that part go a little bit. I didn't pay as much attention to it. I didn't focus on it. Consequently, she became a little bit looser with her steadiness. So one of the things we did the other day with those pigeons, we worked on steadying her up. So I've got a little pup that kind of gets excited, and you can hear her in the background too. That's Moja. She goes, I'm ready to go too. Well, Moja needs to learn that just because we're out working with dogs doesn't mean it's her turn. So one of the things I'm doing with Spry, now I'm getting into the lesson, and I'm 20 minutes into it with her. For 20 minutes, she had to sit quiet and patiently. Not run around, not get to sniff anything she wants, not to get to fuss with anything. Ellie's been out here for about 10 minutes. The reason I have Ellie is because Ellie's going to make some retrieves for me in front of her. Now you'll remember when we're hold conditioning, no retrieving. Absolutely no retrieving, because I don't want to take steps backwards. We're taking steps forward with hold, and she's getting kind of good at it. I don't want to take steps back and have her go out, make a retrieve, and do something that isn't desirable. Now, she hasn't had a lot of issues non-desirable when it came to retrieving. I just think it's time to do it. She's about coming up on 9 months old. So what I'm going to do with her now, for the first, so she was not a retriever for me, or a real poor retriever for me, for about 6 months of training. From about 2 months to about about 5 months of it, I guess. 2 months to about 7 months. She was awful at retrieving. We didn't do a lot of it. I had to accept it and realize, you know what, she just wasn't ready for it. And when she became ready for it, and I found out she was ready for it, we went with it. No big deal. She's 9 months. You're gonna be 9 months old now, and when I get through hold conditioning, she'll be right where she should be. And it doesn't matter if she's 4 months, 6 months, 10 months, 14 months. I don't care, as long as I get there. So, what I'm gonna do with her for the first 5 months of her poor retrieving, I worked on steadiness stuff, but I didn't throw a lot of bumpers for her and not let her pick them up, because I didn't want to have her lose even more interest in retrieving. If you throw bumpers for them and they never get to pick them up, eventually they go, I don't even know what this is about, because they weren't retrieving. So now that she's retrieving, now I can throw bumpers and get a lot of denial work going. So during hold conditioning, and I expect it to be a couple weeks with her, I will throw some bumpers for her and not let her get them. Steadiness. Chris showed a nice video the other day. This is going to be a big temptation for her. You can see her focus is over there. This will be a temptation because she loves these. Who doesn't love a tennis ball? Look at her eyes right now. Ah! There's the break. Here. 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 Good. Oh. Oh. Exactly. Sit. What I don't want to happen. I didn't do that on purpose. She did it. She did it perfectly. Because that is not what I want. So now I'm going to go into my lesson. And I'm going to stop talking here for a second. So let's see. I got a question I think there that I'm going to get to. But I'm just going to do the lesson. And to make me a little bit more likely to succeed, I'm going to put this on her. I'll have zero control of it because she's at a distance, but just the weight alone is another insurance for her. Good. Good. You can see the tennis ball is a complete extra layer of excitement. If she's going to break, it's on the tennis ball. You can just see that tennis ball really is an extra layer of excitement now. I'm not okay with that because I've conditioned that to be a pretty positive reward for her. Good. Now throw 3, 4, 5, 6 of these things, pick them up, then go get her, move her again. Good. Now another thing I'm worried about too is I don't want to go too long. Because we just had, from a little issue with her braking to steadying her up, is about enough for her. So I'm going to move her again. Now I'm going to put her right here in front. Ellie, 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 come on, come on. Good girl, here, Ellie, here. Good. Here. Sit. Now come a little closer to her. Good. Good. Now there's no bumper. So we use Ellie to make retrieves. Ellie didn't gain a lot out of that. She doesn't need to learn new retrieving stuff. Spry was the one who was learning stuff. Resist temptation. Now, another thing I can do to eliminate, I don't even have to have bumpers involved with this, but again, I'm focusing on trying to get Spry steady. Because as soon as I'm done with hold conditioning, which I think is going to be 2 weeks, she'll go through it, I think, quicker than most. So about 2 weeks from now, I'll probably get back to retrieving with her. And when I do that, I want a solid dog, steady. So I'm building my steadiness back up right now so that when I'm through hold conditioning and we get back into retrieving, I've got the retrieve part, I've got the delivery part, and I've got the steadiness. So I went from a steady dog in the beginning of Live with Spry with no retrieve or a poor retrieve. Then I went from a steady dog with no retrieve to a dog with a pretty nice retrieve, and she suffered a little bit on her steadiness. So, and no hold in between there because she never had a hold, but she had a pretty nice one to start out with, natural. So now I'm going from a dog that's got a real nice retrieve, not as good a steadiness as I want, without hold. I'm adding hold, so the third element's in there. I'm going to have a nice retrieve because it should come right back for her, and I'm going to have steadiness. So now I have all three of them by the time I start in about 2-3 weeks with her. So now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to call Ellie past her. Ellie, here. Ellie. Good girl. Come on. Come on. And Spry's just got to sit there and watch. Very good. So I do really boring stuff like this while I'm doing hold conditioning. Just because we're doing hold conditioning, I think a lot of people go, I don't have to do anything else. No, work on your heel work. Work on your steadiness. Work on whatever it is that you're struggling with outside of retrieving. It's a great time to do it. Tracking. I'm going to do a lot of tracking with her in the next 2 weeks for a lot of reasons. Hunting season's coming. But also, my tracking doesn't interfere with the retrieving part. There's one little part at the very end where she'll pick something up. I'll be right there and I'll just take it from her. It's not necessarily a retrieve. She's going to find something at the end and get rewarded for it. And she'll probably hold on to it anyway because she's got a pretty nice natural hold. But the tracking part, I'll get a ton of tracking work in. So I'm going to flip this around. So the reason I showed that was, let me spin this around. The reason I showed that was I wanted you to see, besides hold conditioning, the march continues with her, doing other stuff. And she's coming along just fine. So let me go back here and see if we've got some questions, because this is the first live now that I've actually been able to see comments. So there are some questions on the last one that I need to that I will answer yet before I do the live hold conditioning. That'll be yet this afternoon. So Joe Ashley got in. How the Bears doing, Wyatt? That's the big question. Kevin Olson got in. Mike Schulte got in. Jessica Urban. I tried your products and I could get my dog past the phase of retrieving the white antler, and I bought everything. I've been trying to get him to do it for a year. He just won't take. Am I able to return the items to you? It's still in the original packaging except the white fake antler. Let's talk about it, Jessica. I'll get a hold of you direct. I probably can't return a product after a year with use on it, but let's figure out the problem and figure out how to get the dog to make the retrieves. I'm thinking you maybe said I couldn't get my dog past the phase of retrieving the white antler. Let's talk about it. If you can get him there, you can get him past it. I'll help you. That's the beauty of having the ability to do this. It's real interactive, and we'll get you through it. Jordan was in. Marty was in. Please message me if you get a chance. I will, Jessica, if you're still watching. Brooke joined in. Chad, may I ask, what is the end goal, duck dog or game recovery? With which dog, Chad? Fire me back which dog you're talking about. Most of my dogs do everything. And Spry is a personal dog, so she will do everything. How long do you have them hold at a time? For each session, Mike, is that what you're asking? How long do you have them hold at a time? Just depends. There's no set time. I don't want it to go too long, because if you go too long with anything, you're setting yourself up to fail. I don't want to go too short because I want to get some value out of it. So elaborate a bit on that one. Brooke Christine got in. Hi, Brooke. It's halftime. The Bears are up 12-0. Bear down. That's what I like to hear. Nicole Larson joined in. Brian Frisk is in. Hey Brian. So I'm waiting to hear Mike Schulte. If you want to fire back a quick question or a quick answer to my question, how long do you have them hold at a time? I'm thinking you're meaning like in repetitions. It just depends, Mike. Was curious about Spry. So Chad is wondering each repetition of the session. So yes, that's what you're looking for. Just depends. Depends on the dog, and it depends on how I'm reading them. If they're going well, I keep going until I think that we may slip up and I want to get out of it before that. No different than retrieving. How many retrieves do you make in a session? I don't know. But I'm not going to go so many times that it turns negative and we have a fail. Because if we do that, then everything we did before it is lost that was positive. So just don't go too long. There is no set time. Was curious about Spry. Spry's going to do upland. She's going to do some wing shooting stuff upland. She's going to be a gun dog. I'll duck hunt over her. She will track and she will shed hunt. Likely she'll end up being a therapy dog. Her mom, Taylor, is a certified therapy dog and certified service. So she does everything. And this one will probably do the same thing. Bears are beating this year's #1 draft choice. So I love getting updates on that. Shane Stover joined in. Good looking dogs. Appreciate it, Joe. So the only other, Mike, I think we got your question, and I think we got Chad's question. So if you've got more questions, guys, or if you're watching this late and it's not live, fire away. I will be looking at them, and I can get back to you on them. Again, for 20 minutes before we did anything today, this dog sat in my yard. That was the beginning of her session. She didn't even know it. So I think keep that in mind. Sessions don't necessarily always have to be high energy, because high energy sessions create high energy dogs. I want dogs that I can turn on and off, on and off, on and off. And if you never turn them off during a session, they don't find that gear. They don't have that gear. They're always just in overdrive. And we need dogs that are in neutral at times. More often, especially in the field, we're in neutral more often than we're in drive, because most of the time if you're doing things, it's not always high energy. So keep going. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do a hold conditioning with her. We'll be on day 3. She did really nice yesterday and the day before. If you're new to Live with Sprys, I encourage you to go back and watch them from the beginning, because in a relatively short period of time, we have come a relatively long way. We have a much longer way to go yet. So we're not even close to getting to where we're going to get with this dog, but I'm not in a rush, and you shouldn't be either. So Maverick is no, says Nicole Larson. Maverick is no what? Maverick is a little dog that I think gets excited, and I think sometimes we need, I really think Nicole has to really take into consideration what we talked about in the beginning of this, as far as slowing things down. A lot of downtime with dogs that are excitable. Chris Smith tried fixing Fee's excitement with keeping her not bored. Like, that was his explanation, was I think she's getting bored, and that's why she's easily distracted. She loses focus. And my answer to him was, you're throwing too much at her too quickly. Do less stuff and do it better. Quality over quantity. I'm a big believer in that for a lot of things. So you guys have a great rest of your day. I will be going live again later, and we'll hold condition with Spry. Do you sell just scent for antlers? Yes, Joe. Our website, we have it in 2 forms. We've got it in the liquid scent, and we also have it in the stick scent. So big stick that we partnered with Conquest Scents. One thing, I've had a question about the bags. We got new bags. I love them. Wyatt Anderson, he was in earlier, the master of organization. He organizes his completely different than this. I put my bumpers in the big part, my scents in here, my tennis balls here, my bug spray is here, and because I've been doing some shooting stuff with some of the bird dogs, I've got my field trial blanks in there. This bag is sets itself up really well. It's on our website now. We sold out of the old style, and we no longer will be ordering those. So I have had a few people ask about the new bag. So I wanted to show that. It's on our website. I like it a lot more. I think it lays out nicer. What's your website? Joe says the website is dogbonehunter.com. So Nicole says, sorry, typo, Maverick is high energy and not honoring sit. When new people are on, any tips for a solid sit? Yeah, I think what you need to do is practice where you're weak. So you need to find some people that are willing to be your guinea pigs and be the new people. And the problem is when new people come over and you might be running into trouble, Nicole, your focus probably isn't on training at that point. Your focus is on other stuff. So if the struggles take place in those times, set them up for success. Just take them out of the situation. Go put them in his kennel. If the dog is going to fail and you can't spend 100% of your focus on it, remove them from the situation. Because you're just moving backwards. You're not in neutral, you're not in forward, you're in reverse in those. So remove them from it. But then realize those are my weaknesses. So if you've got a dog that struggles to be steady and sit when other people are around, find other people that are willing to come around and say, you're going to help me train Maverick. I need him to work through this. You're 100% focused on Maverick and his training while other people pretend that they're visiting like they would normally when those problems come up. And then when the correction, timing is the fix. Most of the issues that happen is because people have bad timing. I can't, timing is so important. If you miss the timing, dog doesn't learn. So if you're correcting, if you got company over, the dog gets off place or the dog moves from a remote sit or whatever, if she gets up and walks around and I correct her when she's over there, she won't learn it. She's gonna learn nothing from that because I missed it. What I need to be is the correction needs to come when she gets up and her foot moved. So if you miss the timing, the dogs don't learn. So praise the same way. It's not just correction, it's praise too. If you praise the dog after it's done what it was supposed to do at that moment, and that's what you're trying to get the dog to understand, if you praise it after, you're praising it for something that isn't connected to what it was you wanted him to understand he was supposed to be doing. Timing is critical, and timing takes practice. Sounds crazy, but if you don't practice a lot of this, everyone has bad timing. I used to have really bad timing. Consequently, my dogs didn't progress as well or as quickly. As my timing got better, my dogs got better. It's not a coincidence. So you need good timing. Everyone needs good timing. Chris Smith is a friend of ours on our trainers team, and he needs better timing. He explained to me his problems. His dog was off, KM Cutters is in. Hey, KM. Dan got in. Dan, it's been a long time. A couple of new people came on. So welcome, everybody. Continue to please share these if you would. But Chris Smith, we had a long talk about timing because he's got Spry's sister, and he was explaining to me how whenever he goes to someplace new, she really does well in a new environment. And he goes, I think it's because she's not comfortable. And I said, I think it's because you pay a lot better attention to her. When he goes to someone else's house, he pays a lot better attention to her to make sure she's not making any mistakes. But when he gets home, this is his words. And Chris, I'm using you as a great example because I think it's a great example. Chris, in his own words, says, when I get home, I do my thing, and then I turn the TV on, and then I crack a beer, and I might sit down on the sofa or the chair, put my feet up, and Fee's on place, and she watches me. And as soon as I put the feet up, and she hears that PBR crack, all of a sudden she's off and she's into the kitchen, and she's just doing this to, she's blatantly disregarding her place. I said, yeah, and you're correcting her when she's in the kitchen, and you're upset about it. When the conversation was, how do I fix that then? I've picked her up by the scruff. I picked her up by her. I put her back on her place with a firm no, and I don't know if that's the way to do it. And I said, maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't really matter if you correct her with any type of correction. I don't care what it is. The problem is not the correction. The problem is the timing when you're doing the correction. You're missing it. I said the correction should be when before her foot hits the ground is when you need to make a correction. And it doesn't have to be very hard. It can be, They hear that and they go, wow, don't put my foot down. That is the time to correct. When you correct them because they're in the kitchen, they're going to go, oh boy, stay away from that spot over by the kitchen table. That's where I shouldn't be. No, that has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with the second your foot came off the bed. So I said, you pay better attention when your dog is at a guest house. And consequently, your dog behaves better. when you're at home, you get a little lazy and you don't watch it. You're not as in tune with it. And when you're not in tune with it, your timing's off. And when your timing is off, your dog misses it. So timing, and then more timing. You can't get good at timing without practicing. You got to be bad at it and then get a little bit better and then get a little bit better and then get a little bit better. I need to improve my timing. I miss stuff too. But I catch as much as I miss. And so I'm able to have some success. The better I get with my timing, the better my dogs will get. All right, so we got off our subject for a while there, but all good stuff, which is why I like being able to read these live questions. So we'll be going live again. Denise came in. Welcome, Denise. Good info, great info. Appreciate it, guys. Again, love doing these because I really think we're able to help other people with their dogs, and the more mistakes we can make, the better, because that's reality. That's the way it really happens. So you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go live later with a hold conditioning lesson. We'll be back on top of the freezer, and until then, you guys take it easy. Have a great rest of the day.